So, if you look at the national picture and the public finance climate, the way that the relationship has happened between local authorities and citizenry it's kind of evolved into a dependency relationship, and there aren't any more the financiers available to sustain that kind of profile, if you want. So there's kind of a financial impetus to reframe it.
The council is wanting to embrace the town, the city, in a different way and try and reverse the relationship a little bit. It's always been very parental towards the city and the community. The Right to Solve, in my perception, or my interpretation after today's events, is somehow providing a conduit for the people to actually talk to the council more openly, more freely and more easily and more readily.
It was from one of the first groups, the idea of visualising people and their responsibilities in York, and kind of advertising that fact. So this person is responsible for this in the city, kind of putting a face to what goes on. And I suppose like helping people realise that we're all just people in the city and we should link together to kind of do things better.
The idea around some of the gamification of some of the work, and I think they're still working that through in terms of what that means, but there's some really interesting things there around how you change the way people interact, how the council interacts and how residents or businesses interact with us. So certainly the bits around how you gamify that, how you use some of those themes to do that. There's some real interesting bits in there.
The ideas which are coming up are it's about getting information to the maximum amount of people, whichever way, and trying to get the community to take responsibility of their own problems and solutions.
Talked about on community portals, in community centres, touchscreen for people to actually put information in, large sculptures so that there's some real visual elements that the community can all get behind and see that there's things that, the democratic process behind it. So lots and lots of different ideas.
The hardest part of the process is trying to understand what you're looking at. You can spend a few minutes talking about the ideas before you actually realise that you're not really addressing the question. So it's really interesting to see other people's take on a question and their interpretation. But I think once you've got the idea and you've got your head round what it is, then it's quite easy to sort of get that conversation going. And I think everyone's had a good pitch in.
This particular synergy surgery compared to others might be challenging in that the question is one that is somewhat theoretical. So it's not about underused assets, for example, or access to healthcare. So I think that's been a challenge today. But nevertheless, it's good to challenge, to tackle things that are difficult.
When I first came along, I was incredibly excited. I thought this was brilliant, bringing everyone together. Then the problem seemed so hard. It was a really hard uphill struggle for everyone to try and get hold of the same problem and understand it. But by the second day we did, and people started being really creative. They understood, they were using a similar language and started to really form the detail of what needed to be done.
Quite a lot of people are really committed to, I guess, using their skills, using their creativity, using their own innovation actually for the good of the city. That's one of the really great things about York, because people want to give something back, people want to participate in making it a great place to be, and it's just really inspiring when you see people giving up their time over the last 2 days. Small businesses, self-employed people actually take the time out to get involved in these things because they believe in it and they can see the value in it.
I think the worst thing York can do is fossilise itself and become some kind of Beamish museum. Some of the ideas we've heard today, things like gamifying, the experience of being a York resident, it's just, it blows the back of your cap clean off.
I'm constantly amazed and awe-inspired at the amount of energy and care the people of York have in both their city and their community. And this willingness to help, this willingness to all work collaboratively. So for the last 2 days we've had some incredible people working tirelessly, about 60 people working tirelessly from all areas in York, from our European friends through our other project, really committed to trying to make this work. And so for me the biggest thing's really been that. It's been the collective commitment to really want to make the difference and to put so much time and effort into developing something that sounds and feels so much more robust now than it did last week.